business owners and executives from around the valley. This is Business Leaders with Lance Cardoza.
Welcome to Business Leaders. My name is Lance Cardoza, and we're here at KMPH Fox 26. I want to remind you, if you want to catch this episode and other episodes, go to businessleaders.tv. And it's that time of the year. We're creeping up on the 40 Under 40. That's on December 1st in downtown Fresno at Chichancy Park. If you'd like to see the class of the 40 Under 40, go to 40.com. That's 40.com, and check out the 40 Under 40 class of 2022. This week on Business Leaders, I have from First Street Church. I have Ryan Paneer and also Joe Basil. Thank you for being on the program. And a good friend of mine reached out. The Patendis' family, Tim Patendis, a good friend of mine, his son, Corey Patendis, reached out and said, hey, you got to meet these guys. And I said, I've met Joe before. I think we had a cigar one time.
We probably did.
Oh, now I feel left out.
Now you were
That's
left
the
out.
one thing I
Yeah.
want to do.
I feel like you didn't remember what we looked like because you're like, it's a business leaders show,
Yes.
right? I mean,
Yeah.
guys don't really kind of match that.
I feel like we fit that mold perfectly.
Oh, we do. Everybody's changing. They're like tuning their TV. Like
We're in.
How?
That's who I want financial advice from.
Yes.
Are those two
That's
guys.
right.
Well, they're probably watching it thinking, I've been looking for a church that's fun. And I think they just found it.
Okay.
I'll give you
there
that.
you go. We
That-
don't have a lot. We have fun though.
But we do enjoy ourselves.
We do have a lot of
Yes.
fun.
Yeah.
We had met, and it was an event, and I was involved with Tim Patendis and Corey Patendis, and it was about the Vietnam Veterans Welcome Home event we did at Chichancy Park. And I was helping our president there, Derek Franks, and I had met that family, and we had a little party. Denise Baronian and David Black had it over at Madeline's house. Mm-hmm. Yeah, what a great lady. Beautiful
she's
home.
the
My wife
best.
and I
They
went
love
there,
her.
and they fell in love with my wife, Lori, and it was just what a good event. And I had met Joe that night. And
Did you have a cigar that night?
Oh, we
no,
had
he
to.
had a cigar.
I did.
So I watched
And so did Madeline.
Okay.
So
You're right.
She's great
Yeah,
like that.
She's great, and they talked about your church then, and it was kind of full circle when Corey came to me and said, "I want to have them on
That's
your
fun.
program because they need to be able to talk about First Street." And so, very excited to have you guys on here and be able to talk about First Street Church. And Ryan, can you give us just sort of a recap of what is First Street Church?
So we are.
I disagree. Oh, I'm so sorry. Is that
We've
too
taken
soon?
things very differently. You walk in, it looks like a church. Actually, it's not true. It looks
No,
like
it
an
doesn't.
old haunted dentist office
Yeah,
is
it
what the
is.
building
Yeah.
looks
Yeah.
like.
That pig has a lot of lipstick.
Inside is nice. We've done a good job on the
Yeah.
inside. It's got all the elements of a church. There's worship, sermon. We're going to ask for your money at some point. But the truth is, I mean, we go back and forth, half and half preaching. While I'm preaching, he's up there fielding questions. It's totally interactive. When he's preaching, I'm up there fielding questions. Totally interactive. We had, which I think is the best compliment I've ever gotten in a church, is we've had multiple people say, I never knew I could laugh so hard during a church service. And so to us, that's the win. You hear about Jesus, it's biblically based, but we have a good time, we enjoy ourselves.
We do.
That's really what it
And
is.
you think of it differently.
Yeah,
You're thinking
very
of
much
it
so.
differently, and I think that's what makes businesses unique.
Yeah.
That a lot of times it's even with a new invention, sometimes it's not something brand new.
Right.
It's the way you presented it in a different light. You brought it to a different light, and that's what I keep hearing about First Street Church.
The pandemic kind of forced it for us.
That's
So-
true.
So when we went to online services right away, immediately when everybody's like, oh, 1 in 4 people are going to die, we're like, okay, we'll stay home for that. We'll stop for that. Clearly that was not the case. But so we're like, all right, so we're forced to go online. And what was happening is that both of us were online, and one was preaching, the other one was doing interact. We asked questions during the sermon, and so people send them in, the other person interacts. When that lifted for us, which was 3 days, and we went back into the building, we did that. We're like, why would we get rid of this? This is so fun.
Yeah,
so
it was the
on
part we enjoyed the
stage-
most,
So
yeah.
it's kind of it's almost like Conan O'Brien, late night where you have one guy talking, the other guy kind of fielding, and it goes back and forth, and we keep it interactive. And then we kept our online community with us.
Yeah.
So we have this massive online community from around the world, and they interact in the comment section on Facebook. So we just have a blast. And somebody once said, somebody's like, oh, I think it's weird. Another person said, it's actually like old school testimonies, just with new tech. Because that's where we're asking questions like, what do you think about this? And so they're kind of like the old days, like, I want to got a testimony.
Yeah.
I don't know why they're a prospector.
No, they were old
They're
prospectors. I wanna give a testimony.
I don't
Yeah.
know why it's a prospector. And now it's a young prospector. I got a testimony.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's
or they want to be able to not be on the hot seat, but be able to put in their take.
Yeah.
And people want to be able to communicate and be heard. And,
That
and
to me is
Facebook and
the
Instagram.
biggest shift that I've seen is kind of the old school church basically said, sit there and listen. And we have the other side where people want to share, they want their opinion, not even saying, oh, I'm right in my opinion. They just want to say, what about this? And can I share this? And we open it up completely to say, you can share whatever you want.
we pivot.
Yeah.
We pivot. If
Be
it's a good
prepared for us to make fun of it, though.
Yeah, yeah, oh,
we
for
might
sure.
make fun of
no,
everything you say.
You serve it up to us.
Yeah,
it's
we're
just
gonna-
like,
yes,
oh
we
man,
gotta do
we're
it.
gonna crush
But,
that.
yeah.
But in a fun way. But yeah, and we'll pivot, being like, hey, if somebody has something like, let's pause. Because if somebody's got something going on, it's weird to just be like, nope, don't want to hear what's really happening with my people. I want to say something. It's like, no, let's stop. Let's chat about this. It's fun. By the way, we got 1 billion more Sundays to finish this sermon.
Yeah.
So why am I in a hurry?
And you want to hear from the congregation. You want
Yeah.
to know
Absolutely.
what is bothering you today.
Yeah.
Yep.
What is on your heart today to be able to share and
Yep.
be able to open that up.
Yep.
And it doesn't force you also to have to create a new sermon every week.
It doesn't.
You let the
We haven't
interactive
written a sermon in years.
That's right. That's
We're
right.
just winging it
That's
every week.
anything. It's like, what do you think?
fun.
You let
Yeah.
it happen.
Yep.
It is great.
We actually open the sermon what we call shenanigans. So the first 15 minutes before church starts, we invite the online community in, and then him and I just hang out and we talk about what's going on, and it sets the tone. They're like, hey, everybody, relax a little bit.
Yeah.
Because by the way,
Yeah.
the stuff we're studying happened already. So it's like,
Yes.
it's not like I'm going to change the past, you know? We're talking about it. We're two dipsticks giving you our perspective on what the Bible says. And again, we're Bible trained, but we're like, relax. And guess what? Not everybody's going to agree, and that's okay.
We'll be all right.
That's
but,
okay.
But you're going to bring it out and be able to talk
about
it.
it. Safe place to disagree.
Yep.
Yeah, and I think it gives then an understanding, or where people can form their opinion. Because a lot of times they don't know they have that opportunity.
It's so true.
because it's so told to them, and that's what it is.
Well, Ryan tells them
it.
their opinion too about my Crocs, because I wear Crocs on stage, and so Ryan.
noticed
I
you
mean,
had
like,
Crocs.
like
The
on
Crocs
stage,
today.
like wears them out in like white Crocs in public. I don't know what to do with
What
that.
are you talking about?
I'm
I
not-
don't believe this.
I'm not saying that like you have to like dress well, just not horrible. That's literally it. It's not a lot to ask.
Don't go away. We got more to come here with Business Leaders. This is an animated group, and I swear they didn't drink a pot of coffee before they came on. But we got more to come. If you want to catch this episode and others, go to businessleaders.tv. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Business Leaders. If you have a podcast that you like, and you like this program, you're going to love our podcast. Go to Business Leaders with Lance on wherever you get your podcast, on iTunes or on Spotify or wherever you get your podcast. Catch this episode and more. I'm excited about our next episode, not episode, but you guys got me all flustered here this morning because I know we're going to have a lot of more fun.
You should be excited about
This
the
is gonna
next
be-
episode. Forget this one.
Yeah.
Or let's move on. Let's just get this-
Whoever you have on next is better.
That's the better.
That's gonna win.
Go forward.
Yeah.
First Street Church, because I know you guys like to have fun. I could tell.
We do.
And I'm sure you have times to where things get very serious.
No, of course.
Yeah, and it gets very serious and someone comes in, but it's so much better to get through those times and those processes when you know everybody can talk about it. And then you realize, I just had a friend that was sitting there and we had dinner, we were talking about something, and I'm thinking, I dealt with the same thing with my kids. I had the same situation, and he's thinking it's the end of the world, you know, and I think those conversations you can have when you have this type of synergy going on inside the sanctuary.
Yeah.
And be able to have that conversation. So I love what you guys are doing. And sort of during the time of the pandemic, we sort of learned different about ourselves and the stresses that people were going through.
Yeah.
And you were able to pivot,
Yeah.
do something a little different. It's
Yeah.
exciting something come from that.
It is. I think the biggest adjustment was the realization that even though terrible things happen, because they do, there are some things that are genuinely bad, and we mourn with those who mourn.
Yeah.
But it also taught how light the rest of everything else was. The things that we were taking really seriously, and honestly, the things that people take really seriously now,
Yeah.
I think politics, everybody freaks out about, and I'm like,
Super
everybody
important.
needs to settle
Oh,
down.
sorry.
Yeah.
Like,
Going
just
somewhere else.
relax, because it doesn't matter that much. It just doesn't.
Yeah.
And so we've taken almost everything with a much lighter approach of, we believe that Jesus is Jesus, and we don't have to worry about much. So things get really easy from there.
I think people are more concerned, like they think they want their circumstance fixed.
Yeah.
And the reality is, the Bible says God's going to never leave you nor forsake you. I said, because the reality is that God's not promising to fix your circumstance. He's like, I'm just going to walk with you through it. So we're trying to do that with you. And by the way, and being like, just take it down about 5 notches, because they're like, oh no, I'm having trouble parenting. I'm like, only you.
Yeah.
Everybody else has
No
got
one
this
else has
nailed,
that
man.
problem.
Kids are honestly
You are
really
terrible.
easy. You're ruining this.
This is all your fault.
You've ruined your family.
And that's the conversation I just had. That it's like when you share those and you're able to open up, you tend to heal.
Yeah.
You tend
Exactly,
to go,
yeah.
This isn't that bad. I can navigate this. This isn't the end of the world. Yeah, and I think it's just, there's some amazing synergy when you can do that as human beings. And when
Yeah.
you talk about politics, if only politics could do that.
Oh my
There would
gosh.
be this amazing synergy between human beings, because at the end of the day, that's all it is.
Yeah, and
We're
to be
human
able to
beings.
share openly and know that you're not going to be judged.
I mean,
No, I mean, we're-
openly judged,
we're-
just privately. We're all
Yeah.
doing it inside.
Everybody does
We're
it
doing it
inside.
inside,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
not openly.
And to know, like, because we're very open with all of our mistakes, all of our weaknesses, and we go, yeah, this is, you're not new to this problem.
Yeah.
This problem has happened to countless people. I mean, look at him, and you immediately feel better. You're like, at least I don't
I'm
do
not
my
him.
At least I don't do
I'm
my
not
hair
him.
like that.
I'm not
we
him.
don't know what happened. We don't know how it got
Some
that
people
way.
make decisions about tattoos. This guy just says yes.
Will,
So just
exactly. He's
tattoo,
never
yes.
picked a tattoo in his life.
No, they
he
just
just
happen.
walks in and goes,
Whatever-
do it.
whatever
do
you
that.
How do I got to get a hold of those reins of that?
That's right. Pull it back in, Lance. Pull it in.
So how do someone's watching the program right here on Business Leaders, and they say, I want to be involved with the church, or I want to come down, I want to experience what everybody's talking about.
We first warn them.
First, right.
Oh,
You
we'll
warn
do
them.
it like
There's a
We do a
discriminating-
lot
That's
of
right.
warning.
Yeah.
You have to
There's a
sign a waiver
disclaimer.
before
That's
you
right.
walk in. Yeah,
It's an
pretty
NDA.
weird.
It's an NDA.
It's the NDA. How they go about
So
finding you?
we there's 2 ways. Obviously, one, we're at First and Bullard near that corner, right next to Hoover. There's a water basin, and so if you go Hoover, go north, water basin, then all of a sudden this very scary building, and you're just like, oh my gosh, bad things must be happening. But that's our church.
That's
so
it.
you go in there. It's First Street Church. Go in there.
And bad things are happening.
That's
in
right.
there.
That's true. That's fine. Don't go in the kids ministry. So anyway, it's amazing place. If you're like, oh, it's a long drive, we are on Facebook and we do our live services at 10:15. So you can go to a Facebook page, First Street Church, and you can log in. You can interact. And by the way, everybody that goes to our church, we usually meet with. Even if you go online, you're like, oh, because we have online attenders, and if they're anywhere in the region.
Yeah.
One of the things we say is, fill out a Connect card, we'll go grab a coffee with you and chat with you. So that's kind of our deal is the 2 of us, our executive pastor Floyd and our worship pastor Josh, we take everybody out to lunch or coffee and just get to know them and say, hey, if it was scary on Sunday, we want to make it worse.
Yeah.
Like
We
we're
want to
gonna
make
pull
you
back the curtain
uncomfortable.
and say, like, this is what you're really getting.
Yeah.
We're going to open it up for you. How did you get your start? So Ryan, in this business, or in this way of life, and working in the church business.
Yeah, I went to People's Church, which most people in the Valley are familiar with.
Yeah.
I went there when I was young. Tried to stop going as much as I could. My mom forced me to keep going to church. It was just punishment. But it stuck. And then when I went into college, I started interning at People's Church in the youth department.
Okay.
The youth group blew up. We had over 700 kids. I just fell in love with ministry, kept going. I quit ministry. I've worked at 3 or 4 mega churches in town, worked for most of them, loved them all, but just kept getting disenfranchised with the, like, it sounds weird, but the business side of it.
Yeah.
I just wanted to follow God and teach people.
You know the name of the show is Business Leaders.
Business is bad.
Okay.
All business is. Oh wait, is that how we're doing?
What's the root of evil? Is that the, okay.
That's
go
what it
ahead.
is. It was honestly. It was
All
the
joking.
It was all joking.
Yeah.
It was the politicizing of the gospel. I didn't see that
You wanted to
matching with
connect with
scripture.
people
Yeah,
more
that's all
with
I
it.
wanted.
Yeah.
And so I would quit a church, but then I felt like God would call me back into ministry, and I went back and forth. And then finally one day, it was just kind of a freak deal. My brother-in-law planted a church here. So I helped him. I met Joe. I was working for a missions department, a missions organization where I was traveling the world. And I was traveling everywhere, met him. We ended up going to London a bunch together.
Yeah.
We went, I think, a
just
dozen
clicked.
separate times.
was
We
it.
clicked.
And
We
it
just
was-
became friends.
More
We're
the
going to take
cigars.
a short. We'll come right back. We'll talk about the cigars, and we'll get Joe's take of that story because the next segment's only really been 30 seconds, so we should be able to do it. No,
Perfect.
it's a little more than that. We'll be right back with Business Leaders. Welcome back to Business Leaders. My name is Lance Cardoza, and if you've been staying with us throughout the program, you're hearing all about First Street Church. And we have Joe Basil and also Ryan Paneer. Did I say it right?
Yep.
Good deal. Joe, we got your take, how you got into ministry. You got involved here in Fresno. Joe, from the area as well?
No, I'm from Chicago, actually.
Chicago, okay.
Yeah,
What brought
so,
you here?
I grew up part of a mob crime family. I was
Okay.
actually a kid in that, really was.
so we're
I know I've been
cousins.
joking this whole time.
Yeah,
so
we're
that's right.
cousins.
Well, no, I heard the last name. I know my people.
Yeah.
And so grew up there, and then became a Christian later on, like in my 20s. And then I was I was actually rapping professionally, which I always think is hilarious. Rapper.
The term
I mean, look at-
professionally is such a,
Is that the
a
hilarious
loose
part?
term.
On the radio.
Yeah, it's very loose.
On the radio. Come
Yeah.
on. All right. So, anyways, the 9 people that listened loved it. But so then I became a Christian while I was doing that. That I realized I wanted to go into ministry, get a degree, go into ministry, feeling led to plant a church in LA on the west side after a while. And so I went down there. That was an amazing experience, and I had a gig at First Baptist in town. Like I was offered to come north, and that's where Ryan and I met. And it was a great experience. And then we started doing missions work together. And then we both had 2 separate churches at one point after that. We meet every Friday and smoke cigars and talk about Jesus at
awesome.
Cigars LTD.
Love it.
And it
love
was fantastic. And so then from there, he's like, "Hey, my brother-in-law is leaving. Do you want to merge a church together?" I'm like, "Nope." That sounds terrible.
That's a bad idea.
That's
It's
I
a
really
bad
tell-
idea. is
I
what
really
it
tell. I
is.
was like, nope.
Yeah.
And then I went and prayed about it. I'm like, oh, dang, I'm supposed to do
I'm
it.
supposed to do it.
And then it's been honestly the best experience
Yeah.
of my life. This is my
That's
best
awesome.
friend. We just have a great time.
And a lot of people are talking about it. I hear, like I said, I heard from Corey had said that it's been one of the greatest things for him to
awesome.
experience.
That's fun.
And you got to have these 2 guys on here. And I remember at Madeline's house, I'm like, he's interesting. I got to know more about what they're doing over there, and I love it. And it's cool to see when you have this synergy, even in business or whatever you do, it just makes life so much easier.
yeah,
It just makes life so much
absolutely.
fun. And you know you can lean on somebody,
Yeah.
whether it's business, it's personal, whatever it is. And like we talked about politics, if we can only just talk,
Yeah.
have
exactly.
a conversation,
Yep.
big things happen.
Yeah.
And that's what it's all about. And I love that you have this interactive feeling to your church because people feel like I don't have to come in and just hear the word,
Yeah.
but I get to participate in the word.
Yeah,
exactly.
true.
And be
No, that's
able
it.
to
To a T.
understand what's going on.
Well, and even like in the business model is how we build our team really does is culture first.
Yep.
We'll teach you everything, but like literally how that culture, that synergy you're talking about, it's essential for us because we want that team to influence all the congregation, and we want it to be this very loving, awesome environment. So
Beautiful. Website. How do people find you online to find out more details? I know they can catch you on Facebook.
Yeah.
Is there a place they can catch you online?
www.sbc.global at US, just kidding. It's firststreetchurch.com.
That's it.
Firststreetchurch.com.
It's very simple.
It is a lot of typing, though, I will say. We want to
First
shorten
Street-
it just because
Spelled
it's a lot
out,
of typing.
firststreetchurch.com.
That's it.
And they can go on there and find out all the information about services and,
Yep.
and also how they can get involved. I think that's a lot of times too is you don't want to just come to a service, but you want to get involved.
Yeah.
Yep.
You want to get involved with people who are like-minded. You want to get
Yep.
involved with people
Sure.
you care about. And it sounds like you guys have that going on. And I
Yeah, we've
love
got great men's and women's Bible studies and ministries and a great youth department, a great children's department. I mean, honestly, it's everything. It's a blast.
Yep.
big events coming up. Is there things coming
Yeah.
around the corner here?
Yeah, so right around the corner coming up, we have what's called Fireside Theology, which is our favorite. It's a cigar-friendly event. We did
It's
coin
the
that
best.
phrase.
Yeah.
Cigar
It's around,
friendly.
it's around a bonfire and it's food, and
Oh,
we
wow.
basically invite people, and it's just somebody's home, and it's beautiful. But you can see it on our website and everything.
Yeah.
And it's ask any question about anything in the world.
Yep.
Oh.
Literally from sex to dinosaurs to aliens to the Bible. And we have this amazing discussion. We do it once a month, every third Friday. And it's just like anything you want to talk about. There's not enough places that just say, I got some crazy questions.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And this is that spot.
And it's fireside
Theology.
Fireside theology. And we have had, those
A
weren't
true
just
fireside.
random.
Yep,
Yeah.
it really is. We do that. We do
It's
our
a true fireside.
Those weren't random examples. We have talked at length about dinosaurs
We
and
know
aliens.
who the aliens people are
and
in church now.
It's a lot.
We know who's
It's a
believing
lot.
in aliens.
Exactly.
We found them out.
Yeah.
And then also, why don't you talk about Christmas Eve?
Yeah, we have Christmas Eve coming up, and Christmas falls on a Sunday this year. So we are doing a full Christmas Eve service, candlelight service. For us, it's traditional. We're not that traditional of pastors.
But on Christmas Eve it is.
But on Christmas Eve, it is a totally traditional service. And then we are recording a Christmas service that we're going to air on Christmas for people, because we just say, look, be with your family. You don't have to come to church.
Yeah.
We can kind of bring church into your living room. So we'll have a recorded service for Christmas.
Yeah.
Awesome. So you're still connected with them.
Yeah.
Love it, love it, love it. Where do you see the future of ministry happening like this? But have you thought about the future? Because
Yes.
as you mentioned, when it becomes too big,
Yeah.
too corporate, if you will, too business, that's could be hard to manage. But at the same
Absolutely.
time, it's something positive. That
Yeah.
means people are coming and you're bringing them to the
Yeah.
flock.
The
Yeah.
future of
Yeah.
ministry and
Where do you
business
see it?
is always the next generation. I can't think like a millennial or a Gen Z, so I have to identify them, train them,
You
and raise
can't
them up.
even think like a Gen.
I-
You're like the world.
I
You're
can't think like a human. Is that
yeah,
what you're saying? You
it's,
think like a
you're
human.
actually. It's the later
Is it-
stages of life that Joe
is
is
it
in.
the Crocs?
That
It's
we're-
the Crocs.
yeah.
It's the Crocs.
You can't think like a normal
Yeah.
person, but I really do think it's, and our team is filled with people significantly younger
Absolutely.
than me and kind of younger
I'm
than
in
you.
that same
That's right.
demographic
That's right.
as the
That's
younger
right.
generation.
So honestly, it's more along the lines of identifying leadership and developing that, as opposed to being like, how do I figure out the future? The future is in your congregation.
Yeah,
You know,
right
invest
there
in
in
them.
front of you.
Yeah.
Yeah, beautiful. I'm glad you were on the program. I'm very excited.
Love it. Thank you for
Sort
having
of.
us.
You're
So,
sort of glad.
Corey,
Yeah.
no, and I'm glad Corey introduced us and reintroduced us. So
Yeah.
thank you so
Yeah, it's
much
fun.
for being on, Ryan.
Absolutely. It's been
Appreciate
great.
it.
Thank you.
First
Thanks
for
Street
having us.
Church. We
It's
got to
fun.
come down, check it out. If you're watching the program and you want to go experience it, go to firststreetchurch.com. And if you want to catch this on podcast, you can catch us at Business Leaders with Lance on anywhere where you catch your podcast, at iTunes or Spotify, and be able to participate online as well. Thanks, guys, for being here, and we'll catch you next time.